40 to 30. The snap is down. The kick is up, and it's good.
You're listening to The Extra Point.
Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, welcome to Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan, right here on the Fantasy Football Network, coming to you every Monday evening until week 1 of the NFL season. I am your host, Evan Sather. Tonight, my guest is a man who loves going for 2 because you can't go for 3 in the NFL after scoring a touchdown. At least not yet, maybe someday. He is the founder of GoingFor2.com, leading a strong team of lighters and podcasters. Please welcome to the show, Geoff Lambert. Jeff, great to have you here, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I can't wait to do some drafting.
Yeah, it's we're getting deeper into May here. I think a lot of the super serious competitive leagues, as they like to call it, have done a lot of their rookie mock drafts as well. But I know there's still plenty of dynasty leagues out there who are still shaping up to get their rookie mock drafts going as well. We're here for everybody, man.
Yeah, I've already drafted. I just finished 3 dynasty rookie drafts. And I have 4 more to go. I think I have one at the end of May and a couple of them in June as well.
I feel like Memorial Day weekend is also a great time to do it, where that's usually a barbecue and get together and eat type of holiday with the family. The weather's getting better, and maybe it's a good opportunity to take a boys' trip out somewhere, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gosh, yeah. So you know, we've been looking at ADP a lot too. We're about to get into that in a moment and how that's changed for the SuperFlex format. This is going to be the first SuperFlex mock draft we're doing for the season here on this show. In the meantime, you've worked yourself pretty hard to put together this article, Jeff. On GoingFor2.com, you can look at the best 24 rookies that you need on your fantasy team. And I was grateful that you had me on as a guest for the GoingFor2 NFL Live mock draft, which some of it missed badly, but others was not too far off. Like, for example, we were talking about Jeremiah Love possibly going to the Titans, but they ended up going Carnell Tate instead because, well, they couldn't get Love anyway because the Cardinals went and got him. So, ultimately, this is a sneak peek here at this article. Top 5 here. So give me a little bit about what goes into these summaries here as far as like the best 24 rookies you need on your fantasy team. So, I mean, granted, there's not really a lot to put down here, but what goes through your mind when you write this article?
So the first thing I have to consider is, I don't know if you can see, the article was posted on the 27th, but if you look at the far right corner, it says updated on 5/4. So this is actually done through Fantasy Pros that allows me to do my ranking and add little blurbs. But as I update my rankings, this also will update live. So I can't put stuff in there like I'm taking this guy over this guy because in June I might change that, and then that blurb no longer makes sense. So I have to make sure that I'm very sort of vague with my descriptions, and as far as where I put them. So I keep it kind of short to the point, and you make it very easy to read for those looking for just rankings.
100%. Even if it looks like to me that this doesn't necessarily take Superflex into consideration, but honestly though, Jeff, like I could see a case for taking Jadarian Price over a why am I drawing a blank? Fernando Mendoza. This quarterback draft class is not very strong, as a lot of us already know. After Fernando Mendoza, it's basically a crapshoot between a lot of guys who were also drafted in later rounds. But taking a Jadarian Price over a Fernando Mendoza, who might not even start this year for the Las Vegas Raiders, Price's ADP is slowly starting to climb up in May here. So could you ever see a case to take a Jadarian Price over these wide receivers?
I haven't got there yet. However, if your team needs a running back and you're really desperate for running back, I could see it happen. I have seen it happen in mock drafts. Now, you can't always pull information from mock drafts because people try different things and it's not always what they're going to do in real life. But I've seen him go as high as 103. So he's definitely getting up there in ADP for sure.
Most definitely. I would not be surprised to see him start to trickle above Makai Lemon, depending on how we're starting to see things go at training camp once June gets here and July gets here. But, we don't want to speculate too hard on the future. We'll see when that time gets here. But be sure to check this out on GoingFor2.com. This is listed under the Dynasty section under the articles here. You'll see this whole list on there. Don't want to spoil too much of it. We want you to give this website some hits as well. So I think a lot of our folks here in the mock draft are getting ready, getting antsy to start drafting here, Geoff. So whenever you're ready, Geoff, let's get this started. Are you ready, my friend?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and click start here. Jeremiah 007 is going to lead us off here at the 101. This is a 12-team PPR SuperFlex 4-round rookie draft. Those of you tuned in right now early enough in this stream, be sure to hit the like button on YouTube. That helps us out a lot to get this show out there in the YouTube algorithm as well. Jeremiah Love gets taken at the 101. Yeah, not at all surprising. He's expected to be the next big thing at running back from this draft class. Cardinals needed a new one so badly. And then, of course, Mendoza goes at the 102. I mean, honestly, I could see Mendoza going at the 102 even in non-Superflex leagues with how quarterback can be quite the scarce position in football. I don't know how many of your rookie drafts, Geoff, are not Superflex, but have you seen Mendoza going that early there too?
Yeah, I have actually. I've seen him going at least at the 102, and if not, definitely the 103. In fact, the guy I'm getting ready to take, pretty much all my rookie drafts have had these same three guys in the top three there, Love, Mendoza, and then Carnell Tate. Pretty much all consistent that those three players are off the board in some form or fashion in any kind of order.
I'm seeing a lot of doubters on Carnell Tate, too, just because he joined the Tennessee Titans, and I think it's that name brand value that is having a lot of people shy away from it. It's kind of like seeing a really nice Hyundai, a high-end one, but you want to shy away from it just because it's like, oh, it's a cheap car, though. How is it going to be any better than this other more expensive car? Well, just because he's not necessarily... I mean, Carnell Tate's going to be expensive in rookie drafts, but you could probably still get a really good deal on him in not only just redraft leagues, but like if you're doing a dynasty startup, I don't mind taking a big shot on Carnell Tate. Granted, we're not here doing that tonight, but I don't know if you've done any dynasty startups this year, Geoff. Have you seen Tate going early enough if you have?
I have not done any startups yet. I put those off until all my rookie drafts are done first. I don't want to be influenced by my rookie drafts and take the rookies too high. So I've not done any startups yet. And going back to your point about, people being afraid of the Tennessee Titans, I always try to shy away from landing spot affecting my drafting too much. And I want to point to a player that actually went to the Titans a couple years ago, A.J. Brown. He fell in a lot of rookie drafts. He went towards the back end of the first after he landed with the Titans. They said, run first team. They got Derrick Henry. I think Ryan Tannehill was a quarterback at the time. Everybody drafted him super late. And if you drafted him, you end up being really happy because he had a pretty good rookie season, pretty good, a couple years there in Tennessee before he went to the Eagles. So you were happy with what you got from him. So I'm a little afraid sometimes with going on what we've seen in the past and affecting the players where they go. Because sometimes landing spot, a place like Tennessee, Tate could be the man and get all the targets in that offense. And it could be a bad offense and Tate could still be a good fantasy player.
Yeah, you're not wrong about the A.J. Brown thing when he was a rookie for the Titans, too. I actually ended up settling on him in a 10-team, one-quarterback PPR Dynasty League that I'm not in anymore. There were some running backs that went early enough where I was like, God damn it, these guys took these running backs, so I settled on A.J. Brown. He ended up being one of my most valuable wide receivers, being that he was just that talented where even a Ryan Tannehill is going to feed him very much. I have to avoid ranting about how the Titans were so stupid trading away A.J. Brown. I could go on all night if I don't stop myself from saying it. So, we'll keep moving on here. So, BroCal44 unfortunately couldn't get to his first pick, but it turned out to be Makai Lemon. Yeah, I mean, that's not an auto draft pick that you're going to be mad about. Interesting, Andrew Korn went Casey Concepcion. I got to hear this from you, Geoff. What do you think of the new look wide receiver room for the Cleveland Browns? Are any of them even going to be fantasy relevant right away, or is this just going to be the Harold Fannin show?
It's going to be the Harold Fannin show, at least initially. I think, when you've got the two rookie receivers there, which one will get drafted, I'm sure, here pretty soon. And then you got Harold Fannin, and you don't know who the quarterback is. Is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Shedeur Sanders? And that, that offense was kind of a mess last year. So initially, I don't think they're going to be fantasy relevant. However, I think talent-wise, I think both of those rookies, Concepcion and Denzel Boston, will be good in that offense. Eventually, hopefully they can get a better quarterback in there because I don't like either Sanders or Watson as their long-term answer.
Yeah, I don't either. Before I comment further on that, I wanted to give a shout out to Wiggyworm. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, I love Carnell Tate's landing spot too. He's easily going to be the top dog once he's ready to and fully developed for the NFL. I don't think he's going to need long to be ready for this offense too. He's got a great arm in Cam Ward to feed him the ball. He's got a Wan'Dale Robinson to help support him. They don't have Chig Okonkwo anymore, but we'll see if Gunnar Helm even steps up to be a low-key sneaky tight end option in fantasy football as well. And then we'll have to see what they do for their running back situation, if it's just going to be a not very effective committee or if it's going to be like the Arizona Cardinals of last year where Ward's going to have to throw for more for 40 times a game.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to mention that part too. But anyway, back to the Browns here, Geoff. Yeah, I thought that Shedeur Sanders was just fine for a 5th-round rookie. He's about exactly what I expected out of a guy who was drafted that late in his rookie draft class. But definitely nothing about him screams future franchise quarterback. And I thought it would be hilarious if the Browns drafted Ty Simpson.
Yeah, that would have been something for sure. And with those 2 first-round picks, they could have done it and been fine.
I mean, yeah, with the way that they've been drafting over the years, there's a lot of stuff they do that just does not make a lot of sense. I think that going for 2 wide receivers like they did doesn't make a lot of sense either. But they must have been that unhappy with Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and even Isaiah Bond for that matter. They got Isaiah Bond for practically free with how low his draft stock went. I think he went undrafted, if I'm not mistaken, just because of the domestic violence dispute he had during his time at University of Texas, which I haven't read up on it in a while. I don't know if it's been dismissed or not, but it seems like they just weren't happy with anybody. They're going to go Concepcion and Denzel Boston.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie though. I wanted to see Casey Concepcion go to the Chiefs and Denzel Boston go to the Patriots. Not just because it's in their names and I think it'd be funny, but those are actual wide receivers that would help their respective teams, not the Browns.
Yeah, I was hoping, as a 49ers fan, I was hoping for Denzel Boston, and they kept passing on him. And of course, took Stribling, which has been sort of a hot topic on Twitter right now with them taking Stribling over some of the other guys.
Classic Mike, the Giants fan, of course, had to go Malachi Fields over here. I see you, Mike. We'll see if he turns out to be anything worth a crap, too. What do you think about Malachi Fields, though, Geoff? Is he going to be the new Wan'Dale Robinson with his departure?
I don't think so. I don't think he doesn't profile as the same kind of Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know. He may be a high volume reception guy, but he's a different player in general. He could be the yin to Neighbors Yang, but I don't know if I'm taking him this early in a rookie draft. I've seen him go as late as the 3rd round. It's a bit of a reach for me there at the 112. I do want to talk about Antonio Williams, though, going there at 108. I like that pick there. I actually have Antonio Williams ranked as my 11th rookie on the draft. And getting them there at 108 might be a slight reach, but if you like him, you go and get him. I think he's got a great opportunity in Washington, which is where I happen to live. They're talking about this kid, being the other player next to Terry McLaurin. He doesn't have a whole lot in front of him. I mean, he's got, a couple guys that have shown flashes. Luke McCaffrey. I think they brought back De'Ami Brown. Not a whole lot in front of him. So he's got great opportunity, and I think he could really show out, and take him there at the 108 is a good statement to make.
Yeah, I agree with you, Geoff. I think he's got a lot of great opportunity to really rise up and be a great contributor for the Washington Commanders. Deebo Samuel was just unable to do that. And Antonio Williams is not going to be Deebo Samuel out here. He doesn't profile as that type of guy. But is he still going to try to repeat a lot of his skill set anyway? Like maybe he'll take a few end-around handoffs. I mean, they have a running back by committee that isn't going to look good on paper. Why not give him a few chances, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm up on the board now. Let me see what I can get here. I'm trying to look at the board, trying to talk and pay attention to the board at the same time. Let's see. I'm going to go. There we go. I'm going to take Jeremy Bernard here, who I think has a great opportunity to fill in that slot role in Pittsburgh with Pittman and DK Metcalf on the outside. I think Bernard, hopefully Aaron Rodgers decides to come back this year and play in that slot role. He can get a lot of volume over the middle of the field. Rodgers doesn't have the same arm he used to have. So getting it down the field might be an issue, but with Bernard there, I think he'll be able to pepper him with targets all season long.
For sure. Before I get back to that point as well, I want to point out GDFL Fantasy Football says Concepcion is the best separator in this class. Yeah, I've been reading similar things about Casey Concepcion as well, which that's another ironic reason I said that I would have loved to see the Chiefs get him too, because they haven't had a guy who could get separation since Tyreek Hill. He'd be perfect for that offense with Eric Bieniemy coming back. But I mean, the Cleveland Browns need a guy that can do very much the same thing too. They don't have any receivers that can get that separation. But what I'm concerned about is that I don't think the separation is going to matter if Shedeur Sanders doesn't have time to get rid of the football, or dare I say, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that he's the favorite to get the starting job is Deshaun Watson, which I think they just need to let that ship sail.
Shout out Mary Kay Cabot if you're listening. She was the Cleveland.com reporter who reported that he was the early favorite for winning back the starting job. I mean, they're paying an arm and a leg to have Deshaun Watson that they can't get out of, so they're going to have to at some point.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
Anyway, enough with the Cleveland Browns. We were just talking about the Commanders as well. Jeez, this is getting a little weird here down here because I'm not a big fan of these rookies beyond early second round, but I'm going to go ahead and take a shot on Nicholas Singleton, which might be a bit of a reach according to ADP, but I really like his opportunity as well because it's not like Tony Pollard is good anymore, and it's not like Tyjae Spears can stay healthy anymore. It's wide open. Why not give him a shot? But I actually wanted to get back to your Jeremy Bernard point, too, as well, Jeff. I really like Jeremy Bernard. Granted, yeah, I mean, the Steelers wanted to get Mekhi Lemon, but the Eagles had to give them the finger in the form of trading up to get him. So then the Steelers subsequently had to trade up to go get Jeremy Bernard. But I like what this kid has to offer a lot. And I think what this draft pick tells me is that they don't have a lot of confidence in DK Metcalf or Michael Pittman Jr. to be the future. We'll have to see what the Steelers decide to do. Are you concerned, though, about the Steelers' quarterback situation, whether or not Aaron Rodgers comes back? Is Drew Allard going to be the guy chucking passes to him?
Yeah, so my co-host Ryan is he actually is a Ravens fan that lives in Pittsburgh, and he's talking about it. And the way they're talking there, they're actually worried about him coming back. I know it's almost assumed that he will, but they have heard nothing from him. I mean, no communication whatsoever. Typical Aaron Rodgers. He just kind of went off the map and has said nothing to the team. And I think they almost have to prepare like he's not going to be there at this point and just go on with their rookie evaluations of their new quarterback.
Yeah, I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers probably isn't done with his peyote retreats or whatever he does in the offseason to mentally prepare himself. But yeah, usually he doesn't leave a team hanging this long, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he even led the Steelers this long last year. But, we'll have to see what happens. But the Drew Allard pick tells me that they don't care about Will Howard. I think he was only a third-round pick anyway. So,
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the Steelers situation turns out, or if it just turns out to be a run-first offense and throw to one of their 19 tight ends left over from the Arthur Smith era.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Speaking of Arthur Smith, he's so going to ruin the Ohio State offense, isn't he?
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, Lord. So there's a question here in the sleeper chat that isn't on screen here. I suppose I could bring it up a little bit. I don't know if we can see it here, but FLG RJ says, does anyone think that Chris Bell plays this year? Now, Chris Bell got hurt prior to getting drafted as well. I can't remember exactly what he got hurt with, but he is on paper the best wide receiver that the Dolphins have drafted. What do you think, Jeff? Have you read anything that says that Bell might not be ready to play?
So I've heard that there's some rumors that he might not be ready to play. I do think he plays at some point this year. I think if you draft him in rookie drafts, I would say be patient. Even if he comes back and plays a couple of games, I wouldn't take that into account as far as his career goes. I would just be patient with him. Know when you draft him that you might not get production until year 2. But you're right. He is essentially their number one receiver right now by the way they drafted him. And if he could just hang in there and make it till year 2, hopefully they can get the quarterback situation figured out as well. And that offense is a little bit better than what it is now. But I think Chris Bell is a great candidate to draft and then stash him on your taxi squad.
Yeah, I'm not scared of a lot of these third-round wide receivers this year, including Chris Bell. I think the upside is just too good. Granted, yes, he did have to have the ACL surgery in the middle of December, so it remains to be seen if September is a realistic return point, but as you're making this next pick, I'll just keep telling folks that I think that it's a good possibility that he can be ready for September. He's probably going to still miss a lot of the preseason and training camp, but hey, I mean, at least he can take a lot of non-contact stuff, jog up and down, sprint up and down, see how that knee feels. They don't have to rush him back at all. I mean, this is going to be a Miami Dolphins team that is just starting over from scratch. Wouldn't surprise me to see them finish at the bottom of the AFC East this year with how much they're trying to rebuild everything. But then again, you don't want to count out the Jets for finishing last place either, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Right, I'm going to take a guy here that I had to scroll all the way down. This ADP, I think it's a little outdated because this guy is going a lot higher in single quarterback leagues. I'm taking Adam Randall here for the Baltimore Ravens. He's sort of, they've been calling him Derrick Henry 2.0. I don't know if he's quite that good, but he is a really big running back, but he can catch. I believe he was converted from a receiver to a running back. So he has that ability to run routes. So I think, with Derrick Henry getting to the end of his career, Randall will be used in that passing down role initially and could take the reins from Derrick Henry as soon as next year.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the Ravens, Brandon Dixon in the comments here is wondering, do you think Lamar Jackson is off of the Baltimore Ravens soon? I don't think Lamar's going anywhere. I think he's going to stay with the Ravens until they decide he's no longer the franchise quarterback. What do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that he's too good of a quarterback to let go anywhere else, and he will stay with the Ravens for most of his career until he essentially, gets sort of forced out for not being any good anymore. But I think he's a Raven for life, essentially.
Before I ask you the next Ravens question, I can't believe I got Katron Allen as low as I did. I mean, granted, it's a running back by committee, and we don't know who's going to be leading it. If Allen ends up leading it, holy crap, the 307 is a hell of a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I wanted to get back to you about Adam Randall, too. I want to hear what you've been reading and hearing about Randall, being that my fear is that he's just another Antonio Gibson, and he's not going to show that he's the future for the Ravens backfield. Am I wrong about this? What have you been reading?
So that is definitely a possibility, and that's why he's going as late as the third round, because people are a little worried. If he was truly the heir apparent to Derrick Henry, he'd be a first-round pick by far. But there is that concern that he may not be that guy. And, listening to reports on Randall, everyone's sort of speculating because they see the athleticism, they see the size, they just automatically think Derrick Henry. But I think we've seen in the past that athleticism and being able to do it, with no pads on and no tackling is not the same as when you're actually out there playing football. So we'll see how he performs this year, and it'll be kind of telling to see if he can take that range from Derrick Henry next year.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he can prove, especially in training camp, too. Glad to see Wiggyworm agrees with me, too, that Katron Allen is a steal this late in the draft. Well, we'll just hope that he's not another bust, that he's not another... I think the Commanders had a couple of running backs. I'm trying to remember the one guy's name they tried to give the ball to a lot, and he just never came through. But we're talking like 10 years ago at this point. I don't feel like racking my brain that much. But speaking
Darius
of third
Geis.
round... What's that?
Darius Geis.
It was before Geis.
Oh, before Geis.
Yeah, Darius Geis. Quite the career ender he had, huh?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, God. Speaking of third round steals, though, I wanted to point out Jeremiah 007 landed Skylar Bell at the 301. I don't know about Skylar Bell's situation at this point. Like, he's got some flashes of elite potential when he's getting space, just like what FLGRJ is pointing out in the comments of the sleeper draft as well. But landing on the Buffalo Bills, where they love to run the football and throw the ball to the tight end, just like the Green Bay Packers do, I don't see how Bell gets more targets than DJ Moore. Am I going to be wrong about this? Is Bell going to develop in this new system with Joe Brady leading the way?
So the thing with Bell is he's essentially the same receiver as far as size and weight and build as the other guys that are already there. It's like they have a whole bunch of slot size receivers that are trying to play, wide receiver in the NFL. And I don't know how that's going to work. Bell is one of those players that, could be exciting in the special team role. Maybe he kind of waits his time a little bit and is able to get a larger role in the offense. But initially, I don't know how he's going to be used in this offense. And I'm not super excited about his prospects because receivers have gone to Buffalo other than Stephon Diggs and just kind of not done anything in that offense, with Josh Allen taking a lot of the carries. And of course you got James Cook back there. And of course they run a lot of 2 tight end sets as well.
That they do. And it's like I say, like the Buffalo Bills are the Green Bay Packers of the AFC. They run their offenses nearly identical. I don't see that changing much with Joe Brady as head coach now. I think he's going to want to keep things that were working as possible. Granted, they didn't want to have Josh Allen take off as much as he had to run for his life the way Justin Fields has had to do for his whole career. But we'll have to see if DJ Moore can make it better as well, too. But as Steven T2C pointed out in the comments, Keon, I think he means Keon Coleman PTSD, because all the Bills do now is just go for smash wide receivers. Yeah, you're right about that too, Steven. Like, that's exactly how they've been drafting over the last few years, and it's unfortunate that Keon Coleman held himself back with his attitude problems and showing up late for team meetings and whatnot. I think this Skylar Bell pick is pretty much going to push away Keon Coleman for any remaining dynasty value at this point. I just wanted to make that point as you're making your next pick here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a big Keon Coleman supporter. I talked about it on my show quite a bit, and I'm little gun shy on going those Buffalo receivers anymore. And the other thing giving me PTSD is when I look on this rookie draft, and I'm about to take him right now, I see another K. Coleman on the draft board, Kevin Coleman, who I think he's actually used his name. Going to that Dolphins receiving core. We mentioned already that Chris Bell may or may not play this year. They took another receiver, I think, in the 3rd round as well. And then I think Kevin Coleman was a 5th round player. So going in the 4th round, just taking a shot in the dark, maybe he shows something in camp. Maybe he, works his way up the depth chart. But he's definitely someone I'm looking to take a dart throw on.
Honestly, that is a dart throw worth taking in the 4th round of a 4-round rookie draft, especially if a classic Mike took Caleb Douglas, who's a 3rd-round pick. I do not like Caleb Douglas's prospect profile at all. I would not be surprised if he's a draft bust on the Miami Dolphins. I think this could easily be the Bell and Coleman show if everything pans out. Like, the draft capital does not scare me pertaining to Coleman. So if you need a wide receiver this late, I think he's a perfectly fine shot to take.
Absolutely. And I think we've seen in the past, too, where receivers, I think it was the Packers a couple years ago, took 3 receivers pretty high. And the one they took the latest was the only one that actually panned out. So draft capital doesn't always pan out the way we expect it to.
Holy Lord, these 4th-round rookies are crazy.
Yes.
I don't know who to take.
It gets ugly, that's for sure.
I could cry. That's how much this is going down the board with these undrafted rookies. I've got some time remaining. I got to hurry up and grab somebody though here. Screw it. Let's just do it. Let's just take a shot on another Denver running back, just because. Yeah, they already drafted another guy in Jonah Coleman, who I actually kind of like Jonah Coleman's prospect profile, but I think this is gonna be just another 1-2 punch where Sean Payton is gonna want to run this the way that Detroit already did with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Granted, the whole league is now trying to copy that because it works so well for them. So who else in that Denver backfield stands a chance? Because I was not that impressed with R.J. Harvey last year.
No, R.J. Harvey definitely not. They aren't happy with what he gave them. He was kind of a big threat guy out of the passing game, but he really didn't give much in the running game. So I do kind of like taking a shot there because we know Dobbins' injury history. I don't think he's ever finished a season. I have to double check that, but he's been injured quite often in his career. So taking a shot there in a Denver running back is not a bad idea, especially when you got Sean Payton, who almost invented the RBBC, right? He's the original committee running back when he had Ingram and a couple other guys, Pierre Thomas, those kind of guys back in the day. So, you never know. He can get a shot and end up showing out and being a pretty decent dart throw there for you.
I might be aging myself because I don't think Sean Payton was the Saints coach at the time, but they even did the same thing with Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister, as McAllister was on his way out and Reggie Bush, they wanted to be their future, but, well, I mean, it only kind of worked out for him, but it's hard to make it as a running back in the NFL. One bad injury and you're irrelevant.
Yep.
But Brandon Dixon's got another question for us, too. Is Patrick Mahomes going to have a good season again? I think Mahomes is going to bounce back this year, as they got Eric Bieniemy back as their offensive coordinator. He was the only guy they've had in the last like 6 years who's known how to run this Kansas City offense. They don't have Matt Nagy anymore screwing up everything. He fucked off to New York for the Giants to go work for John Harbaugh, which good luck, by the way, Giants fans, including you, Classic Mike. You're going to need it. Nagy's horrible. But anyway, what do you think, Jeff? Is Mahomes going to bounce back?
So I think Mahomes can bounce back, have a good NFL season, and not be a great fantasy season. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think they'll probably bring him along slowly. Maybe he starts the year out on the short-term IR, misses a couple games possibly. Maybe he starts week 1, but I do think he starts slow regardless of when he gets on the field. I think they'll run the ball. They'll play it smart. I think he can have a good NFL season, but not be, a top 12 quarterback, by the end of the year. I think he can definitely miss top 12. So we'll see. I don't think we'll see the Mahomes that we've seen in the past when it was Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and they're lighting the scoreboard up. So I'd be a little bit hesitant on Patrick Mahomes this year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not going to be the same. He just doesn't have the quality receivers. We were wondering if Rashee Rice was going to end up being punished for a while too, but at this point, I think we're safe. His charges seem to have been dismissed, so he's just going to be the new ex-receiver in that offense. Which who else is going to step up behind him? Because Xavier Worthy's not very good, but yeah. That should still be at least somewhat fantasy relevant for Patrick Mahomes, but I'd be calling him a low-end QB1 at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be a low-end QB1, I think. Especially because I don't expect him to run as much either, so that'll also hurt him a little bit because he was quite a bit of a runner.
Well, hey, I guess that's why they brought in Ken Walker, right? Now he's finally going to be the top guy in that backfield, and he won't have Matt Nagy making him do running back draws all day. Jesus Christ. That's what he did to David Montgomery in Chicago, and then in 2020, he had to give up the play calling to Bill Lazor, and then Bill Lazor made David Montgomery a top 5 running back. Like, that's how bad Nagy is, as Classic Mike in the comments also pointed out. Yeah, I think that's pretty reflective for Giants fans, too.
For sure.
So, I'm not sure what this question means pertaining to Stribling, the rookie wide receiver that the 49ers drafted this year. I'm trying to remember his freaking first name here. Dejon Stribling, yes. So, wondering if Matt Barrow of The Athletic was wondering that if this draft pick was necessarily taken based off of intangibles. Honestly, they had to replace somebody. They had to draft somebody to replace Brandon Ayuk, being that he just straight up abandoned the team and with no communication whatsoever. He was supposed to be the big body guy that Mike Evans is going to be filling in for, but it seems like they want Stribling to be their next Mike Evans. Am I wrong about this, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I'm a Niners fan, and I've seen all the controversy on Twitter about, was he taking too soon? Did they reach for him? They're bringing up all of our recent draft history and how it hasn't been that great. So I do have my reservations about him. He is an athletic freak. I believe he ran a 4.3 40, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely got the speed. And Shanahan, unfortunately, and that whole team, John Lynch, they try to prove that they're the smartest people in the room. And sometimes they make mistakes and pick players that I could not see them taking. So we'll see. I really hope that this kid, sort of blossoms into a nice star because of all the controversy that's been out there with where he was drafted. And he's probably the most talked about second round pick receiver I think that we've had in a while because of all the controversy and where he was picked and who he was picked over and, the whole nine, and the fact that Shanahan hasn't had a great history with drafting receivers outside of Debo and Ayuk. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he plays this year with the pressure that he's going to have in the spotlight on him.
I'm sure you Niners fans are still cringing over the fact that who was the quarterback they drafted at 3 overall? Trey Lance.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that still hurts to even bring up, which was, well, a guy with a lack of experience didn't succeed, and he had all the injuries. Who knew that would be the case? Kind of like what's happening with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis.
For sure.
But the 49ers have missed a lot on running backs, too. I mean, Trey Sermon was a big example of that. Yep. And now they drafted Kalen Black here, also in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. I kind of like his prospect profile, too. I think he could easily be the new backup to CMC. So, granted, yeah, he's going to have to compete now with Jordan James. Oh, boo-hoo, Jordan James. Yeah. And then Isaac Guerrero, who I don't know if Garendo's still the same incredible explosive guy he was prior to injuries. I don't think this is big competition for Black. What do you think?
No, I think he gets the RB2 spot pretty easily, actually, and it's just a matter of how they want to use McCaffrey. They talk about it every year. We're going to limit his workload, and then they just can't get him out the field. He's just that good. So it'll be difficult. I think last year Brian Robinson kind of came in and did a little bit more than most running backs have done in the past as far as spelling Christian McCaffrey. But McCaffrey still had 400 plus touches last year, and I can't imagine that at his age they're going to continue to do that to him. So Kalen Black will be given the opportunity. Now he needs to take advantage of it and actually show that he can be explosive, which I think he will be able to do that.
It seems like Andrew Korn is all in on these 49er rookies, having taken both of the significant ones that were drafted. We were just talking about how he took Casey Concepcion at the 106, and to go with the 406, he took a shot on a Carson Beck. I mean, in Superflex, I think that's a hell of a steal, considering how the opportunity is right there for Carson Beck. I don't think his prospect profile overly impresses me either. I don't think he's ever going to be better than a... I do this every time. Why am I blanking on the Cardinals quarterback right now? Jacoby Brissett is the guy, at least for the short term. But Carson Beck, though, we're going to have to see how he does in the preseason. But have you read anything else about Beck that says otherwise, on the contrary to what I'm saying about how I'm not that impressed with his prospect profile?
Yeah, I'm not impressed either, but the opportunity is probably going to be there, right? I think Brissett's actually holding out for bigger contracts. And even when Brissett had a pretty good season this past year, but, as far as stats-wise, not with wins, obviously. But, yeah, with Beck, he might get a couple spot starts here and there, which in Superflex, if you got a starting quarterback at all, I think it's a good enough player to have. So if Beck can get even, he gets 4 or 5 starts this year, I think it'll be fine. But if you're going to think he's going to have him for the next 5 to 10 years as a starting quarterback, I don't see that happening.
No, definitely not. We got another question from Brandon Dixon. What are your thoughts on the New York Football Giants making the playoffs? So, on paper, I don't think this is necessarily a lock for a playoff team. With an offense with Jackson Dart, Cam Scattaboo, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Darnell Mooney. I mean, they have to see how Malachi Fields does. Their offensive line, that's pretty shaky at best. They got some shiny new rookies who could succeed. And the defense is always underrated over there in New York, where they got Brian Burns as their wide linebacker. They just drafted Arvell Reese, where Classic Mike was definitely not that thrilled with Arvell Reese. I think he was in favor of... I forgot the guy's name who started with the letter S, but I think it was the Commanders who ended up taking him. But I don't know.
Sonny something. Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny Styles. That was the guy that Classic Mike wanted instead of Arvell Reese, but that was just what turned out to be the case. I don't know, though, Jeff. Is it too early? What do you think about the Giants' playoff possibility?
So I do think they are a fringe playoff team. I think their division is going to be tough because I think the Commanders are going to be better this year once they get Daniels back. They got some good pieces, I think, in the draft. We just mentioned Sonny Styles. We talked about the rookie receiver Antonio Williams, so they should be better. The Cowboys, I think, should also be a better team this year, so they got to worry about that. And the Eagles might take a step back, but I still think they're good enough to be a playoff team. So it'll be a tight division race, I think. I think all 4 of those teams have a good shot to win the division. I don't think any of them are worse than the others. Giants might be the 4th of that group, but, things go the right way. Injuries happen to the other teams, whatever the case may be. I think the Giants could sneak in there and make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm with Classic Mike on this, and I'm with you on this too, Jeff. I think this is a fringe playoff team at this point. Going for 8-1, 9-8. I think the Giants are right there on paper at this point. I don't think this is a lock to make the playoffs, but yeah, I think they could easily pass up the Commanders if the Commanders don't get better. And honestly, I could see the Commanders fighting with the Giants for a 500 record again this year. I don't think they added a lot that convinces me that this is going to be a better team. They had another great season, another first wonderful season in Washington with Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, and then they realized in their second season that, Cliff is actually a fraud of an offensive coordinator. Let's get rid of him. So
yeah, they got a first-time play caller on the offense and a first-time play caller on the defense too. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
As much as I like Dan Quinn as a player's coach, it's just a straight up great dude. I just don't think he's that strong of a head coach. I mean, there were a lot of situations in Atlanta in which I thought he just freaking blew it, man. I don't think Dan Quinn is going to be the head coach of their dreams moving forward, but I guess that's up to ownership and how happy they are with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Commanders too benefited from his rookie season. A lot of close games that Jaden Daniels had heroics to win, and you can't always count on your quarterback to win the game for you every time. So they need to get better offensively overall.
Yeah, and as a longtime Bears fan, I was just so happy that we got our get back last season to beat the Commanders with the last second field goal with Jake Moody, of all kickers. A guy that I'm sure you Niners fans were not that happy to see him hit a game winner when he blew so many for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And then being a high-ish draft pick for a kicker too, to be as bad as he was pretty disappointing.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Commanders now have Jake Moody as their full-time kicker.
They have two kickers now. They actually have someone they took. I don't know if it was a free agent they picked up or if they drafted him late. But there's a kicker they have now that can kick 50-yard field goals at a higher clip than Moody was able to do. So there's a chance that Moody might be out of a job again.
It's Drew Stevens, the rookie out of Iowa. Yeah, Iowa's kicker. I don't watch a ton of Iowa football, so I mean, I saw that based on some highlights here. He was nailing 54-yarders in college, which not a lot of college kickers are doing that.
Yep, absolutely. And Moody struggles with that. I think he has one of the lowest percentages for 50-plus yard field goals. So Commanders might go with the rookie there.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see it because you're right. Like, Moody does not hit those consistently at all. Getting back to the sleeper draft board here, I want to ask you the same question I ask all of my guests here. Out of all 12 of these teams here, not that we know what everybody's actual dynasty teams look like here, who had the best rookie draft on paper?
Besides me, of course. Let me look at the other teams. Let me see. I'm going through each one of them here. I actually like what you did with going all running backs, right? I mean, you're right in the middle of the draft there. In running backs, honestly, usually have the earliest fantasy value if they get the opportunity. So taking 4 of them there, I mean, I could easily see 2 of those guys being good fantasy assets, if not 3 of them eventually. So yeah, I think going all running back there was a choice, and I think that it could pay off for you handsomely.
It's not even a secret to anybody who plays in dynasty leagues with me that I love going running back these days, just to take a bunch of shots on running backs, see how many of them pan out. If some of them don't pan out, fine. That's just extra room in my taxi squad to dump a few of them like Damian Martinez and just make way for another guy. I know a lot of serious dynasty competitors get a bit uppity about that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, I don't want to give away my strategy type of thing. But, dude, it's no secret what I'm doing. I'm just going to grab as many running backs as I can and just hope for the best because chances are I'm probably content at wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback. But, again, I mean, it's just going to depend on ADP and value here. I had to take a shot on Jordan Newman here out of Kent State. He might not even make the final 53-man roster, but I mean, hey, as far as I'm concerned, that Broncos running back room is up for grabs. I am not that happy with RJ Harvey.
Yeah, another thing about the new NFL is every team has essentially 2 running backs. Other than a select few elite running backs, they all have some kind of running back by committee, where it used to be, back in my day when I first started, you had 32 running backs that started and played all snaps, whereas now every team has at least 2, so you got 64 running backs, and then you have injuries and everything else. So taking all running backs is a good chance that all 4 of those guys get some time at some point to prove themselves this year.
Yeah, man, Jeff, I'm not that far behind you in age. I'm 40. I still remember those days, too, of like Emmitt Smith and LaDainian Tomlinson and all these other guys in the 90s and 2000s who, if you drafted a running back, that was the guy. Like, you only had backups in case somebody got hurt.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Those were the guys that took all the workload. Who knows how many of them are even in good shape at this point. Like, it was always incredible to me to rewatch Walter Payton and what he did for my Bears and how he just got out there and played. Like, there was no injuries that were keeping him out for a terribly long time, and he has just such a long career. I mean, I think he was like deep into his like 7th or 8th season when he won the Super Bowl with the '85 Bears. Like, I don't know how a guy like him was just built different, but man, those days in the NFL are just gone, man. You got to draft more running backs.
Yep, absolutely, and they get burned out quick as hell, right? I mean, you talk about guys going into their late careers. You don't get those anymore. They fall off. I think the cliff is, 27, 28 years old. We're looking to sell those guys in Dynasty because the cliff is coming and we know it. And there's very few of them that make it past that cliff. So, yeah, it's different how the running backs are being used in the modern NFL.
Yeah, we're with you on that one, Mike. We definitely miss the old days too. But yeah, you're not lying either, Geoff. Like it's that age 26, 27 cliff that a lot of dynasty degenerates love to bank on, even if it's a running back who's just built different, like Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry, where 26 doesn't matter to them. They're still going to be relevant in their early 30s. And for that reason, I see that Adam Randall is getting some hype, and people are just waiting for Derrick Henry to stop being relevant, where it's like, it's got to be any day now, he's going to fall off. But Derrick Henry's built different. He's not slowing down.
Yep, absolutely. I actually traded for Derrick Henry 2 seasons ago to ride to a championship, which I won the championship, and then I traded him away thinking, okay, that's his last run, that's it. And of course, he's had 2 great seasons since then, and I'm sitting here like, man, I should have kept Derrick Henry. I probably could have won 2 more championships.
I think I did the same thing with Mike Evans. For wide receivers, I'll keep them when they've played 8 or 9 seasons in the league, and then by about season 10 is when they start to fall off, and that's when I like to dump wide receivers. I think I sold Mike Evans too early. He's basically recreating Jerry Rice. He's just going to go for a long time in his career, and there's no hamstring strain that's going to stop him.
Yep, absolutely. They talk about his injury proneness, but if you look at his game logs, he's really not that injury prone. Other than last year, he's been pretty consistent. Even when he's injured, he still plays and has a pretty good game.
Yeah, no, dude, he plays through every hamstring tweak that he can. People worry about that because, he might tighten up, he might stiffen up when he has to cut or when he has to curl or whatever. But nah, Mike Evans is different, man. Not every injury is going to have the same effect on every player. I think that's a point that a lot of folks don't necessarily understand. There's no 2 ACL tears that are the same and so on and so forth.
Yep, absolutely. And players react to different things. So yeah, for sure. It's hard to predict those things.
Yeah, and we're with you on this one, Brandon. Yeah, King Henry, he's pretty much unstoppable, built different in today's league. I also mentioned Alvin Kamara, though. He's still with the New Orleans Saints, which I'm presuming they're not going to try to trade him. They're just going to see if they can just run out his last year. But then the Saints signed Travis Etienne to a big contract as well. I can't remember that off the top of my head, but what does Kellen Moore have up his sleeve with this Saints backfield? Is this going to be Travis Etienne leading the show, or are we going to see like a split backfield with him and Kamara?
I think it'll be somewhat split, probably 65-35. I think Alvin Kamara has the receiving ability, which Etienne does as well. But I think they're going to find creative ways to get both of them on the field at the same time to create mismatches. You split Alvin Kamara out wide, in the slot, and you can create mismatches that way. I think Alvin Kamara, because of the way his career has gone, he's never been a big bruiser. I don't think he even has a 1,000-yard rushing season to his name. But he's so good in the passing game that you can get him out there and get him in space and do some nice things. So I think Etienne is more the traditional running back, whereas Alvin Kamara will be sort of a offensive piece that they kind of move around to create mismatches.
Yeah, and the Saints did not draft any rookie running backs this year either. They now have Kamara, Etienne, and they still have some roster cloggers in the form of Kendre Miller, Devin Neal. They signed Ty Chandler, and he's probably just going to be limited to special teams if they keep him. Audric Estime is a roster bubble guy, and they signed an undrafted free agent out of Ohio State, C.J. Donaldson. I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State football either, but he was a transfer from West Virginia going to Ohio State. Didn't have a big role in the passing game during his college career either, so he's probably just going to be a little depth piece at 6'2 and 232. Does that move the needle for you at all?
No, nothing for me. I think he's probably a camp body. Maybe he makes it, through preseason, then he gets cut during last cuts. But yeah, I don't see anything happening there.
So speaking of the Saints, they managed to grab a 26-year-old rookie in Tyler Shook out of Louisville last year. I think this quarterback class is going to have another guy who's going to surprise us, even if they don't necessarily start right away. And I got a bad feeling I'm going to be wrong about Ty Simpson with his lack of college experience at University of Alabama, where I think he only started in maybe maybe two less college games than Anthony Richardson at Florida, which that's a big red flag for me. But being in the Sean McVay system where he's going to sit behind Stafford and develop, are we all going to look like idiots writing off Ty Simpson?
So that's the key part, right? He gets to sit behind a Hall of Fame worthy quarterback for at least 1 year, if not two, and learn, right? He can just sit back there and just see what they do, learn the offense, and they'll come in a lot more prepared, which we've seen the Packers do over the years, right? They draft a quarterback, he sits for a couple years. It's sort of a forgotten trait that they used to do, back in the day when the quarterbacks would sit behind the other quarterback. Nowadays, it's all about what you can do for me right now. Whereas Simpson's got the advantage of not having to jump into that situation. And we assume in a couple years that the Rams will still be a pretty good team when Stafford finally hangs it up. So Simpson can step into a pretty good offense with a really good coach and a team that knows how to win. So it could be interesting to see. Unfortunately, in Dynasty, you may have to wait a year or two before you see what Simpson can do. So he'll be sitting on their taxi squad or clogging a bench spot for a while there. So you have to take your draft pick knowing that.
I'm still reading that that's also a possibility for Fernando Mendoza with the Raiders, too, being that Clint Kubiak doesn't like throwing guys like Mendoza into the fire too soon when they got Kirk Cousins for a major discount from the Falcons. So if Fernando Mendoza ends up sitting, is that going to be absurd coming from the number 1 overall pick in Mendoza? And quite frankly, could the Raiders have just traded down and gotten Mendoza later?
Yeah, so I think Mendoza starts this year. I don't think he starts the beginning of the year, but I do at some point think he starts. And I think if you watched, I know they did some improvement on the offensive line, but Geno Smith last year was absolutely obliterated behind that offensive line. And Kirk Cousins is not any more mobile than Geno Smith is in his day. So, I think Mendoza, it's going to get to the point where Kirk Cousins, if he's struggling at all, just the pressure from the fans and the media will force Mendoza into the lineup. So I think he starts. It'll probably be like a Baker Mayfield situation where he comes in, 6 or 7 games into the season, maybe after their bye week, whenever that happens to be, and starts the rest of the game. So I think he starts at some point this year.
Heaven forbid that both Cousins gets hurt and Mendoza struggles, that we have to see Aiden O'Connell again.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're a Bowers owner in fantasy.
So last week there was an article that Rotoballer also shared that Fernando Mendoza's skill set might not translate well to the NFL, but in a Clint Kubiak system, I'm not so sure that that's going to be a guaranteed case. I think that if anybody can help get the best out of a Mendoza, it's definitely going to be Clint Kubiak, who did a phenomenal job with the Sam Darnold-led Super Bowl Seattle Seahawks team this year. I don't want to write off anybody as like a quarterback whisperer, which I already did for Kevin O'Connell. I think that title is bullshit, but I don't think that's necessarily the case for a Clint Kubiak. And for a guy that like Mendoza, who is at least a good decision maker under center, what would there be to doubt in particular pertaining to Mendoza's skill set?
Yeah, as long as they're not asking him to do too much. They're not asking him to come in there and win the game himself. A lot of running the ball. Ashton Genty is back there. They do have Brock Bowers. You can run those safe routes with the tight ends. But I don't see him airing the ball out down the field. And, no high-flying offense. Keep it simple. Play good defense. Don't get them killed. Hand the ball off. And just know that you're probably not going to be a good team this year. However, you're working into the right direction. You'll probably have a high draft pick again next year to improve your team a little bit more, get some more free agents in there, and then move your way into being a contender eventually. But I think as long as they bring him along slowly, which is something they're already going to do, they're going to bring Kirk Cousins in for that reason, to bring him along slowly. So they're already kind of planning for that anyway. So I think that's the plan, is to bring him along slowly. Don't ask him to do too much. Play good defense, run the ball a ton.
Yeah, and the Raiders also failed to get rid of Max Crosby, so at least they don't have to worry about having to replace their edge rusher.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best failed physical that the Raiders have ever had, right? So they get their guy back.
That might end up actually working out for their defense, too. I mean, I don't think Crosby's going to be there after this year either, but hey, man, at least he's going to be a guy that could probably help the young guys do better for the future, depending on how the Raiders want to move forward with their defense. But coming back to the Raiders' offense, too, Mike Washington, was drafted behind Ashton Genty. I was really hoping to see Mike Washington go to another team that was running back needy, but now that he's with Ashton Genty, I'm out on Mike Washington as with whatever upside is remaining, as talented as he is. I was hoping to see him as the second running back off the board, but yeah, like Mike Washington didn't end up going to the Seahawks. He went to the Raiders. So I asked this last week out of my favorite Raiders fan, Tip Major. So I'll ask you too, Geoff. Do you need Ashton Genty to make it make sense to draft Mike Washington?
No, I think they're different enough players that they could use them in different ways. Now, will Mike Washington be fantasy relevant? I don't know. However, I think he does some things offensively for the Raiders that Genty can't do. I think that speed is definitely the thing that he has that you can't see from Genty. So there's definitely some of that ability there. He's sort of the lightning to Ashton Genty's thunder. And it creates mismatches with him on the field. So I do think there's some fun things they can do. I don't know if he'll be fancy relevant, barring injury to Ashton Genty. But, the ability is there. We saw it in the combine, how fast he ran, and, he looked super athletic. So there is the chance that, he could sort of carve out a nice little role there for the NFL. I just don't know how it translates to fantasy.
And I'm not so sure we're going to get immediate fantasy value out of Mike Washington either. I think that he could end up being overdrafted in certain redraft leagues as well, like at the end of somebody's bench, and then he might have like a good game against a weak defense, whoever that ends up being this year, and that'll be a great opportunity to try to sell high on him. But yeah, no, I think this is still going to be Ashton Genty's backfield with Mike Washington trying to carve like a change of pace duty out of it, but I don't know if it's going to matter either for fantasy purposes for either guy because the offensive line still looks like shit on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big thing is the offensive line. That offense is going to struggle once again. With who's under center, it's going to be a struggle.
Wishing the best of luck to Raiders fans. Tip, if you happen to be listening, good luck to you too. But before we start to close things out too, Geoff, I will tell you too, as you're a Niners fan as well, I really enjoyed that Bears-Niners football game that we had toward the end of last season, and I was kind of disappointed that we both got eliminated because I really wanted to see our teams meet in the NFC Championship to get our rematch because of how well it went with, who needs defense? Just keep scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, that was a very exciting game for sure. It definitely was no defense being played in that game. It was all about who got the ball last, essentially, is who's going to win that game. And that was a lot of fun to watch.
You would have had a blast like watching me getting triggered over the Perduggy. I hated seeing it just because he was the one taking it to the house instead of any of their other skill players.
For sure.
Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, we're going to start to wrap things up here. And this has been another episode of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. So one last time, I'd like to thank my guest, Geoff Lambert, for joining us. Be sure to follow Geoff on Twitter at GeoffLambert77. You can also find him on Bluesky at GoingFor2.com, which is the handle, nobsky.social. And be on the lookout for more of Geoff's articles on GoingFor2.com, including his other writers who are also contributing to Redraft, Dynasty, and beyond. Geoff, is there anything else that the people should also check out from you?
So yeah, we do our Wednesday show. We're currently going every other Wednesday. It's the Armchair Fancy Show on YouTube. You could find that at Going for Two Live on YouTube. We also have a few other shows. We have a show on Tuesday night and a show that's going to be coming out here pretty soon on Friday nights around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then during the season, we do a DFS show on Friday nights at 10:30 p.m. So a few different shows that we have on the network. So, definitely check us out. It's Going for Two Live on YouTube.
Definitely. Punch that in on YouTube. You'll find it. I might have to tune in as well for the DFS part, being that my luck has not really been on my side so much on DraftKings. Are you guys platform independent for the DFS show?
We do mostly DraftKings. We'll mention FanDuel here and there, but we do mostly DraftKings.
Got it. Yeah, that's definitely right up my alley. Love using my crowns for some cheap competitions that end up winning me 30 cents or something like that. And I always take that as a win because it's those small wins that add up. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
There's a reason they call DFS grinding, because you literally grind. Your goal really is to break even or to win a little bit slightly until you hit that big win. That's the thing. You're kind of just staying alive until you get that big win.
I'm not going to try to sing that Bee Gees song, so I think we'll wrap it up here before I start scaring people off. So, folks, we're going to wrap this up for tonight. Be sure to tune in to Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan next week for a 3-round Superflex PPR rookie mock draft with the great Nate Janke of PFF. You will not want to miss that. This has been another episode of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan signing off. Have a great night. We'll see you all next week. Take care.